In the absolute freezing dark, over 14 billion miles away from the warmth of our blazing sun, a tiny mechanical traveller forged by fragile human hands is continuously plunging deeper into the terrifying unknown. It proudly carries a golden record, a brilliant time capsule meticulously containing the warm greetings, the rhythmic music, and the beautiful natural sounds of a distant blue planet it will absolutely never see again. This fragile machine, the legendary Voyager one, is currently piercing the highly turbulent invisible boundary, where the solar wind completely dies, stepping boldly into the infinite, completely silent ocean of interstellar space. It is out there right now, completely alone, carrying the ultimate legacy of humanity into the eternal dark, moving at a staggering 17 kilometers every single second. The sheer loneliness of this metallic emissary is difficult to truly comprehend. It flies through a void so incredibly vast and empty that the concept of distance completely loses all rational meaning to the human mind. Welcome, fellow travellers, to This is Space. I am your narrator, Christopher, and today we are embarking on the ultimate, grandest journey beyond the very fragile edges of our known reality. Before we forcefully ignite our theoretical engines and leave our beautiful home planet behind in the cosmic dust, please take a brief moment to subscribe to the channel and leave a thoughtful comment below. Your continued wonderful support is the vital, necessary fuel that allows us to continue bringing the ultimate terrifying wonders of the cosmos directly to your glowing screen. Since the ancient foggy dawn of human time, humanity has been relentlessly drawn to distant hazy horizons and unconquered snowy peaks. The mysterious hidden secrets of the universe constantly excite the inquisitive, restless mind, forcing fragile people to bravely explore the surrounding physical world in endless, desperate attempts to explain its fundamental, hidden essence. It is exactly this insatiable, burning quality that allowed us to fully explore our native, watery planet, and then bravely step beyond its safe, atmospheric boundaries into the freezing cold and highly unwelcoming void of outer space. Today, I humbly invite you to actively embark on a truly fantastic, mind-bending journey across the fabric of space-time. We begin our long path very far away from the Earth, right next to the very first robotic space probes that have long abandoned our blue planet for the dark void. In April of the year 2021, the highly advanced automatic research station New Horizons proudly became the fifth spacecraft in the entire recorded history of humanity to successfully fly beyond 50 astronomical units from the glowing sun. Long before it boldly pierced that boundary, the legendary Voyager probes, and even earlier the brave Pioneer 10 and Pioneer 11 research probes, successfully crossed this massive invisible frontier. Most likely, absolutely none of these silent cosmic wanderers will ever return to the warm embrace of the Earth. Some of them miraculously continue their noble, scientific mission, while others have completely fallen silent forever, their mechanical voices lost in the rushing cosmic wind. The highly advanced New Horizons machine completed a truly magnificent, highly dangerous gravitational slingshot maneuver near the gas giant Jupiter, successfully securing highly detailed, completely breathtaking images of its violently turbulent surface and violently erupting moons. With this massive, necessary speed boost, the delicate station reached the completely frozen, dark realm of Pluto in January of the year 2015. It meticulously mapped the strange, icy surface of the distant dwarf planet, actively analysed its surprisingly complex thin atmosphere, and then plunged much deeper into the dark, chaotic hyperbelt. Sadly, beginning in the year 2026, the internal radioactive power source of the aging apparatus will begin to heavily and irreversibly deplete. The highly sensitive scientific instruments will be systematically shut down one by single one, strictly conserving the last drops of energy until the machine is completely finally dead. A highly similar tragic fate has already overtaken the two Pioneer probes many years ago. Pioneer 10 was bravely launched in March of the year 1972, proudly becoming the very first automatic research station explicitly sent toward the dark interstellar space. It beautifully captured the very first close images of Jupiter, shockingly discovering that the massive gas giant emits far more thermal energy from its crushing depths than it actually receives from the distant sun. Pioneer 11 rapidly followed, and thoroughly exploring both the turbulent storms of Jupiter and the majestic ringed giant Saturn. Unfortunately, the final, incredibly faint signal from Pioneer 10 was weakly received in the year 2003, and the second Pioneer apparatus tragically stopped communicating way back in the year 1995. The absolute most famous of these mechanical pioneers is undoubtedly Voyager 1. Launched in September of the year 1977, it is currently the absolute most distant man-made physical object from the Earth. The massive paradigm-shifting contribution of this probe to the modern exploration of the solar system is completely impossible to ever overestimate. It brilliantly discovered completely unknown, strange moons and a completely hidden, faint ring system circling around Jupiter, while miraculously capturing the plumes of active, violent volcanoes erupting on the tortured moon Io. After safely crossing the distant orbit of Neptune, the highly sensitive instruments on board transmitted highly valuable, unprecedented data about the raw interstellar plasma. Voyager 1 has long left behind the protective heliosphere, the massive magnetic bubble created by our blazing sun, where the outward pressure of the solar wind finally balances the inward pressure of the surrounding interstellar gas. This chaotic border zone, known as the termination shock, is where the particles of our sun crash into the ancient particles of the galaxy. In roughly 300 years, the silent Voyager will reach the inner boundary of the massive hypothetical Oort cloud, a spherical shell of trillions of icy comets. Taking another 30,000 years to fully cross it, the dead probe will journey through total darkness. By then, it will be a completely dead, silent monument to human curiosity and ambition, endlessly wandering the vast galaxy for millions upon millions of years until relentless radioactive decay and the constant abrasive strikes of microscopic cosmic dust slowly, inevitably turn its golden metal body into fine ash. As we instantly and impossibly accelerate far beyond the absolute speed of light, leaving our silent mechanical emissaries far behind in the dust, we boldly enter the stellar neighborhood immediately surrounding our local solar system. The vast cosmic space within a simple radius of 50 light-years contains about 1,400 completely unique stellar systems. If we make a sharp, sudden turn past the familiar Proxima Centauri and instantly cover 11 light-years, we approach a highly inconspicuous, deeply red dwarf star known as Ross 128. It is completely, utterly invisible from the surface of the Earth with the naked human eye. But silently orbiting this dim, ancient star is one of the closest known exoplanets of the rocky Earth type. Unlike the much colder, highly violent Proxima Centauri, this newly discovered celestial body possesses a relatively moderate, highly promising temperature, theoretically ranging from -60 to +21 degrees Celsius. If we optimistically assume that its rocky, barren surface is highly similar to our own blue planet, and it possesses a thick protective atmosphere, the overall average temperature would be about 7 degrees Celsius. This is slightly cooler than the modern warm Earth, but entirely perfectly sufficient to successfully maintain complex biological life in liquid oceans. The gravity on its solid surface would only be slightly stronger than what we comfortably feel at home. Furthermore, the ancient parent star is incredibly calm, completely lacking the violent, deadly radiation flares that relentlessly plague most unpredictable red dwarfs and strip the atmospheres from their unfortunate planets. Moving much further into the deep dark 12 light-years away in the exact opposite direction, we discover the fascinating star known as Luton. This slowly burning red-orange dwarf possesses one of the absolute most massive complex planetary systems discovered by curious scientists in the nearby cosmic sector. Without a highly powerful advanced telescope, it is completely impossible to notice this faint star, as it naturally emits 400 times less visual light than our bright, blazing sun. However, 4 massive, distinct objects silently orbit this dim, red light. 2 of them are scientifically confirmed, completely fascinating exoplanets. The very first is a massive super-Earth securely located perfectly within the life-giving habitable zone. The mathematically calculated temperature of its rocky, alien surface could be highly, incredibly favourable for human survival, potentially harbouring vast, deep oceans of liquid water beneath a thick canopy of alien clouds. The second confirmed planet is highly similar in mass to the Earth, but it orbits so terrifyingly, dangerously close to the hot star that a full, complete year lasts less than 5 rapid days. It is a violently boiling, completely desolate, tragic world. It is entirely stripped of its protective atmosphere by the stellar wind and is forever gravitationally locked, with one completely melted, scorching side facing the burning star in eternal, blinding day, while the other side faces the eternal, freezing dark in endless pitch-black night. Leaving the Luyten system far behind us, we encounter the brilliant, shining star known to the ancients as Altair, perfectly located 16 light-years from our familiar home. It is a magnificent, intensely burning blue-white star, shining extremely brightly and emitting a staggering 11 times more pure energy than the Sun. The absolute most fascinating, bizarre feature of Altair is its terrifying, mind-bending speed of rotation. It violently spins around its own central axis roughly 67 times faster than the Sun, completing a full, rapid rotation in just under 9 short hours. This extreme, crushing velocity forces the massive star to physically bulge violently outward at the spinning equator, taking the bizarre, flattened shape of an oval disk rather than a perfect, calm sphere. The stellar material rushing at the bulging equator is noticeably much colder and visually darker than the intensely hot, incredibly dense poles. Surrounding this rapidly spinning, flattened giant is a beautiful, massive ring of swirling gas and ancient dust. The intense blue light from the star violently strikes this surrounding dust, creating a highly spectacular, just utterly breathtaking cosmic rainbow that beautifully scatters the brilliant blue light deep into the surrounding dark void, painting the local cosmos in beautiful strokes of ultraviolet and azure. Continuing our impossible flight through the deep, empty cosmic space, we finally reach the strange Fomalhaut system, securely located 25 light-years away from the Earth. For a very, very long time, dedicated scientists mistakenly believed this was just a single, brilliant, isolated star. However, it is actually a massive, highly complex triple-star system, tightly bound by invisible gravity. The massive main component is a young, violently hot, blazing star nearly twice the mass of the Sun. It aggressively burns with an intense blue-white heat, and it is entirely surrounded by a colossal, chaotic protoplanetary disk of swirling gas and thick dust. Within this highly violent ring, entirely new, infant worlds are violently forming through endless, highly destructive cosmic collisions between massive asteroids and icy comets. A second companion to this giant is a dim, quiet orange dwarf, while the tiny third companion is a faint red dwarf, orbiting so incredibly, massively far away that it takes a staggering 20 million years to successfully complete a single, highly elongated revolution. Further along our dark path lies Arcturus, a massive dying orange giant roughly 37 light-years from the Earth. It has completely exhausted its internal hydrogen fuel and expanded massively, terrifyingly swelling to 25 times the physical size of the Sun. This bloated, dying titan represents the exact, a highly terrifying future that inevitably awaits our own blazing Sun billions of years from now. When our Sun finally exhausts its core, it will rapidly swell, instantly boiling away our fragile oceans, completely melting the tall mountains into liquid slag, and eventually swallowing the inner planets entirely. Another deeply dying, incredibly unstable giant lies much further away in the dark, the highly famous red supergiant Betelgeuse. In the late cold months of the year 2019, panicked astronomical observatories eagerly reported a sharp, highly alarming, completely unprecedented decrease in the visual brightness of this massive, familiar star. Within a couple of short months, its overall luminosity dramatically dropped to exactly 36% of its normal, historic baseline. Many excited scientists eagerly predicted an absolutely impending, highly violent supernova explosion, a cataclysmic event so violently bright and energetic it would easily outshine the glowing full moon in our dark night sky. The current leading hypothesis strongly suggests a colossal, massive cloud of thick gas and dark dust was violently, aggressively ejected from the highly unstable, boiling surface of the dying star, temporarily effectively blocking its brilliant red light from successfully reaching our telescopes on the ground. Betelgeuse is a terrifying monster of completely unimaginable, staggering proportions. If magically placed at the exact center of our own solar system, its violently boiling, chaotic surface would completely, instantly swallow Mercury, Venus, the Earth, Mars, and the entire rocky asteroid belt, Its outer layers constantly pulsate and churn with massive convection cells, each one larger than our entire sun, bubbling violently like oatmeal in a hot cauldron. When the heavy iron core finally, inevitably collapses under its own crushing gravity, it will violently detonate. The explosive, terrifying shockwave will completely obliterate its surrounding neighborhood in a blinding flash of gamma rays and unimaginable heat, eventually leaving behind a completely crushed microscopic black hole or a rapidly spinning, highly dense neutron star. If you are deeply captivated by the endless, terrifying mysteries of the dark void and the tragic lives of the dying stars, please ensure you are permanently subscribed to This Is Space and leave a thoughtful comment below, beautifully sharing your deepest thoughts. Your continued and wonderful engagement absolutely helps us uncover the absolute greatest, most profound secrets hidden in the freezing, silent depths of the universe. The theoretical assumption about the real existence of massive, completely dark cosmic objects of planetary dimensions that are completely, totally untethered to any warming star has been passionately discussed by theoretical scientists for a very, very long time. These highly strange, completely lonely wandering celestial bodies are broadly called rogue planets, or tragic orphan planets. They silently radiate practically zero thermal heat or visible light energy into the surrounding freezing space. It is completely, utterly unsurprising that successfully noticing such an extremely dark, cold object is incredibly deeply difficult for our advanced telescopes. The absolute warmest, youngest of these lonely wanderers can only be faintly registered using highly sensitive advanced infrared sensors, while the completely frozen ancient ones are only briefly detected through the extremely rare, highly complex effect of gravitational microlensing. Quite naturally, this highly specific invisible class of celestial bodies securely remains one of the absolute most enigmatic and extremely poorly studied phenomena in all of modern astronomy. Modern, highly complex mathematical analysis strongly suggests that the vast Milky Way galaxy alone might actually contain up to a staggering 100 billion of these lonely, completely silent, wandering worlds. The absolute closest confirmed rogue planet to the Earth is an incredibly strange, say completely dark object located just slightly over 7 light-years away from the bright sun. It was happily discovered in the year 2014 using a highly advanced orbital infrared telescope. Observing this deeply dark celestial body with standard glass optical telescopes is absolutely physically impossible, because it naturally emits absolutely zero visible light. The fundamental reason for this complete invisibility is its extremely low, freezing surface temperature, which constantly hovers around a bitter -48 degrees Celsius. In its basic physical properties, it highly resembles a rapidly cooling, massive gas giant planet, largely composed of swirling hydrogen and helium gas. However, dedicated scientists have very recently obtained highly surprising evidence of a massive, completely unexpected amount of water tightly trapped within its thick, stormy atmosphere. It is heavily assumed that this massive volume of water is densely concentrated in the form of massive, highly turbulent clouds made entirely of microscopic, sharp ice particles. It is still completely, totally unknown exactly how this massive dark object originally appeared in the cold dark. It may have naturally formed exactly like a tiny star from a collapsing dense cloud of interstellar gas, but simply lacked the necessary crushing mass to successfully ignite nuclear fusion in its core. Alternatively, it may have been violently, aggressively thrown out of a highly chaotic, violently crowded infant solar system. When a massive giant star passes entirely too closely to a delicate developing planetary system, or when two massive, early planets violently collide, the resulting gravitational chaos can easily, violently eject a young, developing planet straight out of the safe, warm boundaries of its home system. Violently thrown into the freezing, empty void, the doomed planet instantly begins an endless, completely silent journey in total, absolute darkness. Surprisingly, the strict scientific laws of nature actually give us the incredible possibility to mathematically predict the actual, highly extreme conditions reigning upon these frozen interstellar objects. When a rocky planet is violently removed from the warming, life-giving light of its parent star, its hot, molten core does absolutely not cool down instantly. A highly thick, dense hydrogen atmosphere can brilliantly serve as highly reliable, extremely efficient thermal insulation. Meanwhile, a highly dense and violently hot core composed of compressed metallic hydrogen or highly radioactive elements can actively, constantly warm the isolated planet from the deep inside for billions upon billions of years. Complex thermodynamic calculations strongly show that the ambient temperature of the lower atmospheric layers could absolutely be entirely sufficient for the continued, highly stable existence of massive oceans of liquid water. There is a highly compelling, utterly fascinating theory that these completely dark, wandering, lonely worlds could actually potentially harbour complex biological life. A thick, highly protective shell of miles-deep surface ice could beautifully, perfectly protect a massive, completely dark subsurface ocean of liquid water. This hidden alien ocean could be kept entirely warm by deep, violently active geothermal vents continuously erupting on the completely dark, crushing ocean floor. In these absolute pitch-black, highly pressurized depths, completely alien, primitive anaerobic life forms could easily, happily, thrive directly around the boiling, highly mineralized thermal vents. These strange creatures would live their entire existence completely unaware that their watery planet is endlessly floating completely alone through the freezing, deadly cosmic void without a sun to guide it. In order to successfully find more of these deeply hidden cosmic ghosts, dedicated scientists are currently developing a highly advanced, ambitious initiative widely known as Project Cleopatra. By meticulously observing exactly how the invisible, crushing gravity of a completely dark rogue planet briefly, slightly magnifies the background light of a highly distant star, advanced artificial intelligence will rapidly, tirelessly scan the entire heavens to perfectly map the exact hidden locations of these wandering orphans. The sheer, utterly terrifying thought that millions upon millions of invisible, completely frozen planets are constantly plunging through the dark, empty spaces directly between the stars is a profoundly humbling reminder of exactly how highly chaotic, violent, and utterly unpredictable our vast universe truly is. Leaving the utterly lonely, dark wanderers far behind in the freezing dark, we rapidly zoom out to observe the magnificent, mind-bending macrostructures of the wider cosmos. The exact final total number of massive galaxies floating in the visible universe is completely, totally unknown to science. But it is heavily, confidently assumed that this staggering number wildly exceeds several 100 billion individual galactic structures. Galaxies can beautifully have the absolute most diverse, chaotic shapes, completely ranging from perfect, smooth, glowing ellipticals to highly chaotic, totally irregular clouds of violently burning gas and young stars. Our own cosmic home, the glowing Milky Way, proudly belongs to the specific class of highly structured barred spiral galaxies, because any single galaxy naturally consists of a massive, uncountable multitude of individual stars. The total gravitational mass of these massive objects can easily reach absolutely incredible, utterly mind-bending values. Our beautiful home galaxy securely contains roughly 200 to 400 billion individual blazing stars, completely existing alongside massive, utterly unexplainable quantities of invisible, mysterious dark matter. The highly structured Milky Way is an incredibly flat, rapidly spinning cosmic disk, with a massive diameter of about 200,000 light-years, but its overall thickness is only about 1,000 light-years across the flat plane. However, in the exact, violently crowded dead center of this glowing disk lies a massive, highly dense central bulge, deeply inside of which perfectly hides a highly terrifying, utterly inescapable supermassive black hole containing the crushing mass of well over 4 million burning suns. Tightly surrounding the edge of the Milky Way is a chaotic swarm of much smaller trapped satellite galaxies. The absolute closest ones are completely irregular in overall shape, heavily, violently distorted and slowly, painfully being torn apart piece by piece by the immense, completely inescapable, gravitational pulling influence of our massive home. The Large Magellanic Cloud is absolutely the most highly famous of these doomed, captive satellites, securely containing roughly 30 billion ancient stars. Deep inside this violent, highly chaotic neighbouring cloud lies the famous Tarantula Nebula, a massive, highly active stellar nursery that proudly holds the single most massive, completely violently luminous star currently known to humanity. This terrifying blue hypergiant aggressively burns with a truly terrifying, completely destructive ferocity, shining literally millions of times far brighter than our humble, quiet sun, and it will absolutely inevitably detonate in a highly catastrophic, completely galaxy-shaking supernova explosion in the very near cosmic future. Just barely beyond our immediate highly crowded stellar neighbourhood lies the truly magnificent, highly massive Andromeda Galaxy, securely located roughly 2.5 million light-years away from our eyes. It is absolutely the closest major, fully formed galaxy to our own, and one of the very few highly distant, massive objects that can be clearly, distinctly seen with the naked human eye as a highly faint glowing smudge of white light in the completely dark night sky. The massive Andromeda contains roughly 1 trillion individual stars, making it significantly, vastly more populated and highly massive than the Milky Way. Its absolute most highly distinctive, completely bizarre feature is a truly strange, highly dense double nucleus at its core. Advanced telescopes clearly reveal 2 distinct, clearly defined, extremely dense clusters of ancient stars rapidly spinning in the very centre, strongly suggesting that Andromeda violently consumed and completely, utterly absorbed another much smaller, highly unfortunate galaxy in the very distant, highly violent cosmic past. Currently, the massive Andromeda Galaxy and the Milky Way are aggressively, rapidly rushing directly toward each other at a truly terrifying, highly unstoppable speed. In approximately 5 billion years, these 2 colossal, completely unstoppable galactic titans will absolutely inevitably collide in the deep dark. It is practically, mathematically impossible to completely reliably simulate the exact, highly chaotic final consequences of such an incredibly titanic, highly destructive meeting. But it will undoubtedly, absolutely be an epic, utterly breathtaking cosmic spectacle. The night sky of the Earth, if our small, fragile planet magically still exists in that distant era, will be completely, blindingly filled with the glowing, highly chaotic, violent ribbons of billions upon billions of violently displaced stars. The sky will burn with the blinding light of a completely alien galaxy, crashing directly into our own. The 2 highly terrifying supermassive black holes located at their respective dense centres will eventually, inevitably, spiral together in a highly deadly dance and violently merge, sending massive, completely invisible gravitational waves violently rippling across the very fabric of spacetime itself. The ultimate final result of this beautiful, highly violent cosmic dance will be the dramatic birth of a single, highly colossal, completely featureless elliptical galaxy, completely changing the fundamental, overall structure of our entire cosmic neighbourhood forever. If you are deeply, truly enjoying this ultimate, highly mind-bending journey across the very bleeding edge of physical reality, please take a brief moment to subscribe to This is Space and let us know in the comments exactly how the immense, utterly terrifying scale of the entire universe actually makes you feel inside. It is completely, utterly obvious that physically detecting a highly bizarre celestial body that entirely, permanently absorbs absolutely all the visible light falling upon it is an incredibly highly difficult scientific task. Therefore, currently there are absolutely not many verified, confirmed candidates for isolated black holes. Nevertheless, advanced mathematical modelling confidently mathematically shows that in our own galaxy alone, their sheer hidden number can easily reach 100 million invisible traps. To successfully become a terrifying stellar black hole, a massive violently dying star must possess a total mass of at least 20 times that of our familiar Sun. Only in this highly specific violent case will the utterly violent supernova explosion be entirely powerful enough to completely, instantly crush the glowing, heavy core of the star into a microscopic, completely physics-defying point of absolute infinite density. After this terrifying, highly sudden collapse, visible light itself can absolutely no longer escape the invisible, terrifying boundary of the absolute event horizon. One of the absolute closest known, highly dangerous black holes to the Earth is a highly terrifying, completely dark object located 3,000 light-years away in the stellar constellation of Monoceros. It is a critical part of a highly dynamic binary system, where a completely normal, relatively calm orange dwarf star constantly fearfully orbits a completely invisible, highly massive object. The immense, utterly inescapable gravitational pull of the completely hidden black hole severely, violently deforms the unfortunate orange star, physically pulling it into the highly strained shape of a stretched glowing teardrop, and violently rips away the outer, boiling layers of stellar gas. This completely stolen, violently boiling plasma rapidly spirals downward, instantly forming a blindingly bright, incredibly hot, screaming accretion disk spinning rapidly around the dark event horizon. It is exactly this screaming, highly glowing disk of utterly doomed, superheated matter that allows our advanced telescopes to clearly, confidently locate the invisible, highly dangerous monster lurking completely in the dark. Contrary to highly popular, largely fictional belief, black holes do completely not possess the magical, completely unstoppable ability to uncontrollably and inevitably suck in absolutely all surrounding innocent objects. From the strict, highly mathematical point of view of gravity at a relatively safe, distant orbit, they behave exactly, perfectly the same as a normal, completely stable star of the exact same physical mass. Therefore, a highly massive black hole can perfectly easily possess a highly stable, completely calm planetary system. Planets could easily naturally form from the leftover swirling dust of the violent supernova explosion, or they could be violently, unexpectedly captured from entirely other, wandering stellar systems passing by. The highly intense, highly energetic radiation violently emitted by the glowing, superheated accretion disk could potentially, consistently warm these deeply dark orbiting planets, perhaps even successfully melting thick surface ice into vast, highly deep oceans of liquid water. The highly bizarre, utterly fascinating idea that complex biological life could theoretically actually evolve on a highly strange world, illuminated solely only by the screaming, glowing halo of a black hole, is absolutely one of the most utterly fascinating, mind-expanding concepts in all of modern astrophysics. However, if a highly unfortunate rocky planet wanders entirely too incredibly close to the hungry black hole, the final outcome is absolute, pure devastation. The incredibly intense, highly crushing tidal forces will slowly, painfully rip the rocky crust of the entire planet completely apart, while the sheer, highly intense thermal radiation rapidly spewing from the fast accretion disk instantly boils away the protective atmosphere and the deep oceans. Ultimately, the doomed celestial body will be utterly, completely shattered into millions of highly tiny fragments, which will then rapidly spiral downward and be completely, utterly consumed by the dark singularity forever, completely erased from all existence. Black holes natively come in vastly, completely different physical sizes. While standard stellar black holes are relatively small, your highly supermassive black holes are completely, utterly, incomprehensibly large, silently lurking in the absolute highly crowded center of almost every single major massive galaxy. These utterly terrifying titans can easily possess the crushing mass of billions of burning suns. When these deeply supermassive monsters actively, violently feed on vast, highly dense clouds of cold gas and unfortunate falling stars, they brilliantly ignite into highly luminous quasars. These are the absolute brightest, highly energetic objects in the entire vast universe, shining so incredibly fiercely that they can be clearly, distinctly seen across billions of light years of completely empty, freezing space, beautifully acting as massive glowing cosmic lighthouses shining from the very ancient dawn of time. Rapidly zooming out even further into the deep dark, we finally witness the absolute true, highly mind-bending macrostructure of the entire vast cosmos. Our highly local group of familiar galaxies is merely a highly tiny, completely insignificant part of the utterly colossal Virgo supercluster, which itself is really just a single, highly faint glowing branch of the massive Laniakea supercluster. This completely unimaginable, highly massive structure contains roughly 100,000 entire, fully formed galaxies, all smoothly flowing exactly like a massive cosmic river, directly toward a completely mysterious, highly massive gravitational anomaly known as the Great Attractor. This utterly terrifying, completely unseen massive gravity well located roughly 250 million light-years far away is relentlessly, constantly pulling our entire massive galactic neighborhood directly toward it. We absolutely cannot directly visually see the Great Attractor because it lies completely, perfectly hidden, exactly behind the highly dense, completely dusty plane of our own home Milky Way, making its absolute true, highly massive nature one of the absolute greatest, completely unsolved mysteries of modern astronomy. The highly complex physical universe is beautifully organized into a truly massive, highly complex web of glowing, massive galactic filaments and completely dark, utterly empty voids. The absolute largest completely known structure is the massive Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall. This truly titanic, highly massive filament composed of many thousands of galaxies beautifully stretches across the deep dark for an absolutely incomprehensible 10 billion light-years. The very existence of such a highly colossal, incredibly massive structure deeply, profoundly puzzles scientists as it completely, absolutely challenges our current, best understanding of exactly how the early universe originally evolved highly rapidly after the massive Big Bang. Yet, even this completely massive, highly impossibly large wall occupies only a highly small, completely tiny fraction of the totally observable universe. The completely visible universe is a highly massive, expanding sphere roughly 93 billion light-years in massive diameter. We absolutely cannot see anything completely beyond this highly strict, invisible boundary, because the ancient light from those incredibly, extremely distant regions has simply, physically not had enough actual time to rapidly reach our highly sensitive telescopes since the fiery, highly energetic dawn of early creation. What exactly truly lies completely beyond the fading edge of the currently observable universe? Some highly theoretical scientific concepts suggest an absolutely infinite, completely endless continuation of exactly what we clearly see right here, absolutely endless, highly massive fields of bright galaxies beautifully stretching completely forever into the absolute dark. Entirely other, highly complex theoretical concepts propose a highly complex, completely massive multiverse, a truly massive, highly chaotic foaming sea of absolutely countless individual highly distinct universes, and each completely possessing entirely different, highly unique fundamental laws of physical physics. Perhaps absolute time and physical space, exactly as we highly currently understand them completely, utterly lose, absolutely all meaning completely beyond the invisible dark boundary. Regardless of exactly what truly lies hiding in the completely unseen dark, we definitely know that our own highly massive universe is constantly, aggressively expanding, and the exact speed of this highly violent constant expansion is rapidly, completely accelerating. Eventually, in the highly distant, completely unimaginable, incredibly dark future, absolutely all the massive galaxies will be violently pushed so incredibly, completely far apart that the beautiful night sky will absolutely become completely, perfectly black. The bright stars will completely die, the massive black holes will slowly, completely evaporate into nothing, and the entire cosmos will be left as a highly freezing, completely empty, completely dark void. But completely until that highly distant, completely dark end arrives, humanity will continuously, relentlessly look completely up at the ancient stars, constantly driven by an absolutely unquenchable, highly powerful desire to deeply understand the truly magnificent, completely terrifying, utterly profound beauty of the ultimate journey beyond. Thank you for traveling with This is Space. Please leave a final thoughtful comment below with your deepest thoughts on our truly epic, highly massive cosmic journey, and make sure to permanently subscribe to eagerly join us next time as we continue to relentlessly, passionately explore the absolutely endless, highly beautiful, completely terrifying wonders of the universe.